Hearing your piece for the first time is a really unbelievable experience. For me particularly, this piece I'd actually finished 2 years ago, so it felt particularly fresh. And you get kind of the experience of the listener in a way of kind of hearing the piece for the first time, so that can be very informative. The piece moves from dawn to dusk, so you'll hear at the beginning this kind of, all the instruments are kind of waking up and stretching and yawning. And then it really kind of moves towards this more high noon kinetic energy. And then at the end, we drift more towards sunset, and the field that we were playing on becomes more like a nest. So the piece is very much about kind of a childlike wonder and joy and revelry in nature and the creative process as well. So the paper and clay are kind of evoking, natural materials that kids play with, sort of your first art experiments. And also I'm thinking of the leaves and the field as this sort of contrasting images of the fluttering. You'll hear a lot of fluttering in the winds and strings. And then there's this sort of open expanse and also this grounded harmonic language that represents the field. For me, it's about this kind of reconnection with your childlike curiosity and love of creating, which is something, we lose sometimes or most times as adults. And so part of the joy of writing this piece was just sort of living in that kind of fantasy world and trying to create that space for the audience. I started this podcast, Loose Leaf Notebook, which is about mental health and creativity. I spend a lot of time talking and thinking about this myth of the tortured artist and how art has to come from suffering. And I think that that's something that I try to disprove. I think a lot of my orchestral work before this piece really explores a lot of my own feelings of anxiety, my experience in therapy and with medication, and trying to destigmatize mental illness and mental health challenges, because I used to believe that those things were needed to be an artist and that getting healthier would somehow perhaps dampen my creativity or stifle it somehow, but it is the exact opposite. And now I feel like because I have a wider range of emotional capacity from my own experience healing and understanding myself better, that has just given me a wider palette in terms of what I can explore in my art. The more healthy I've become and the more I've embraced these healthier aspects of my life, I think the more creative my music has become. That doesn't mean only writing about happy things, it just means that we don't need to romanticize this idea that as artists we need to suffer and be miserable in order to create. I would say that this is my first really joyful piece, where the piece is really about kind of having an uplifting emotional experience. And I wouldn't say it's completely free of darker moments, and I only give illusions through imagery because I really want the audience to experience whatever they want to experience or feel about it. I think that a composer's job is just to create a space for people to have internal reflection and connect with their emotional worlds. And whatever is going on that day, if you feel some kind of new understanding about it, then I feel like I've done my job.